The silent invasion. The night Moscow fell, Commander Maya Chen watched from orbit as the city's lights flickered and died. Not with explosions or fire. The Voidborn didn't destroy. They simply disconnected. One by one, Earth's greatest cities had gone dark over the past 3 months, their defenses rendered useless by technology humanity couldn't comprehend. Status report, Maya demanded, her voice steady despite the knot in her stomach. The International Space Defense Platform, mankind's last coordinated military effort, hung in low Earth orbit, invisible to the Voidborn ships that patrolled the skies below. Moscow's gone silent, Commander. All networks down, Lieutenant Ramos replied, his face illuminated by the dying glow of status screens. That's the 11th major city this week. Maya nodded, running a hand through her short black hair. At 43, she'd served in 3 wars, but nothing had prepared her for this. An enemy that didn't bomb or burn or shoot. The Voidborn simply overwhelmed all technology they encountered, making it part of their hive network before shutting it down. And our communications blackout? She asked. Holding. The analog systems are crude but undetectable to them. The remaining resistance cells are reporting in via the designated channels. Maya stared at the tactical display. Bright red zones marked Voidborn-controlled territories, covering most of Europe, Asia, and North America. Yellow zones indicated contested areas where human resistance still functioned. The blue safe zones had shrunk to scattered pockets in remote regions. They're not killing us, Maya said, almost to herself. They're just making us irrelevant. The Voidborn had arrived 6 months ago, massive obsidian ships appearing simultaneously over 27 major cities worldwide. There had been no communication, no demands. Just the quiet, methodical dismantling of human civilization. Commander, Ramos interrupted her thoughts. Dr. Wright's team is requesting your presence in Lab 3. They say they found something. Maya moved through the cramped corridors of the station with purpose. The ISDP had been designed to house 200 personnel. It now sheltered over 600 scientists, soldiers, and civilians who'd escaped the initial wave of Voidborn takeovers. Lab 3 was a repurposed cargo bay, its walls covered with equipment salvaged from research facilities around the world. In the center stood Dr. Elias Wright, his tall frame hunched over a workbench where something glowed with a pale blue light. Commander Chen, Wright acknowledged without looking up. His eyes reflected the blue glow, making them appear almost luminous in his dark face. We've been analyzing the Voidborn communication patterns, and Maya moved closer, studying the device. It resembled a small satellite dish connected to a series of quantum processors. They're using entangled particles for instant communication across their network, Wright explained. Theoretically impenetrable. But we found a flaw. The scientist finally looked up, a hint of excitement breaking through his typically stoic demeanor. At 58, Wright had once been NASA's leading quantum physicist before the invasion redirected his talents. What kind of flaw? Their system relies on perfect quantum synchronization. But when we introduce a specifically tuned feedback loop, what I'm calling a void echo, it creates a cascading desynchronization. Maya frowned. In English, Doctor. We can make their network glitch, said Aditi Sharma, Wright's assistant. The young woman tapped at a console, bringing up a holographic display of wave patterns. It's like shouting in a canyon. The echo disrupts the original sound. So we can what? Jam their communications? Maya asked, feeling the first spark of hope in months. Better, Wright said, almost smiling now. We might be able to crash their entire system. Their technology is so interconnected that a properly amplified disruption could potentially disable their ships, their weapons, everything. That's why they're so effective, Aditi added. Perfect integration is their strength, and potentially their greatest weakness. Maya looked at the device. How soon until it's operational? It already is, Wright said. This is a small-scale prototype, range of about 3 kilometers. but the principle is sound. "Show me," Maya commanded. Wright nodded to Aditi, who typed a sequence into her console. The dish began to emit a high-pitched whine, the blue glow intensifying. "We've been monitoring a void-borne patrol drone in the debris field," Wright explained. "It's about 2 kilometers from our position, well within range." On the monitor, a small black object floated among the space debris, sleek, featureless, with a slight purplish sheen. The void-borne aesthetic, elegant and alien. "Activating void echo now," Aditi announced. The dish's whine deepened, becoming a pulsing throb. On the screen, the drone continued its patrol for several seconds, then suddenly stopped. Its surface rippled, as if the metal itself was uncertain of its form. Then, without warning, it simply fell apart, componentry dissolving into disconnected fragments that drifted away from each other. "Holy shit," Maya breathed. "You didn't just jam it. You disintegrated it." Wright frowned. "Not exactly. We disrupted the quantum fields that maintain its cohesion. I didn't expect such a dramatic reaction." "Can you scale this up?" Maya asked, her mind already racing with possibilities. "Theoretically, yes. But to affect their primary vessels, we'd need something much more powerful and—" An alarm blared, cutting him off. Lieutenant Ramos's voice came over the intercom. "Commander, we have multiple void-borne vessels changing course. They're heading directly for us." Maya's blood ran cold. They detected the test. "Impossible," Wright protested. "The Echo doesn't emit any conventional signals they could track." "Then how did they find us?" Aditi asked, her voice edged with panic. "It doesn't matter," Maya said, already moving toward the door. "Pack up everything essential. We evacuate in 15 minutes." As the station erupted into organized chaos, Maya returned to the command center. The tactical display showed 5 void-borne ships breaking atmosphere, their trajectory unmistakably aimed at the station. "Status of the escape shuttles," she demanded. "Fueled and ready, Commander," Ramos replied. "But those ships will intercept us before we reach the lunar outpost." Maya stared at the approaching threat, thinking. If the Voidborn had detected Wright's device, then they considered it dangerous. And anything the Voidborn feared was exactly what humanity needed. "Change of plans," she announced. "We're not going to the moon. Set course for the Mariana Deep Sea Base, and get Wright and his team to shuttle one with that prototype." "The Deep Sea Base? That's barely operational," Ramos protested. "Exactly. No electronics for the Voidborn to detect, and 2 miles of ocean to shield any experiments Wright wants to run." The evacuation proceeded with military precision. As the last shuttle disengaged from the station, Maya watched from the viewport as the Voidborn ships surrounded the abandoned facility. Instead of destroying it, tendrils of dark energy extended from their hulls, enveloping the station. "What are they doing?" Aditi asked, clutching the Void Echo prototype to her chest. "Assimilating it," Maya answered grimly. "They'll absorb every bit of our technology, looking for the source of the disruption they detected." "Will they find anything?" Wright asked. "Nothing important. I had all the research data wiped, but they know we've discovered something. And now they're hunting us." As Earth's curved surface grew larger in the viewport, Maya felt a strange mix of dread and determination. The Voidborn had made their first mistake. They'd revealed that they could be vulnerable. And in doing so, they'd given humanity something it had lost in those first devastating months of silent invasion. Hope. Humanity's counter. The Mariana Deep Sea Base groaned under the pressure of 2 miles of ocean. Originally built as a geothermal research facility, its thick walls and minimal electronic footprint made it the perfect hiding place from the Voidborn's ever-expanding network. Maya stood in the repurposed command center, examining the crude paper maps spread across the central table. Red pins marked confirmed Voidborn strongholds, while blue pins represented the few remaining human resistance outposts. "We've lost Santiago," she said, removing a blue pin from South America. The entire Chilean resistance went dark 3 days ago. Dr. Wright looked up from his workbench across the room, where the Void Echo prototype had been disassembled and modified with parts salvaged from the base's original equipment. That leaves what, 8 major resistance cells worldwide? He asked. 7, Maya corrected. Sydney fell yesterday. The Voidborn are accelerating their takeover. In the 2 months since their escape from the space station, the situation had deteriorated rapidly. The Voidborn seemed to be hunting with renewed purpose, systematically eliminating human resistance with a precision that suggested they knew exactly what they were looking for. "They're afraid," Aditi remarked, entering the room with a stack of handwritten notes. "The fact that they're stepping up their efforts means the Void Echo scared them." "How's the amplification coming?" Maya asked. "That's what I came to report," Aditi said, a hint of excitement in her voice. "We've successfully increased the range to 50 kilometers in testing. And more importantly, we've found a way to piggyback the signal through their own network." Maya straightened. "Explain." Wright stepped forward, his face showing the fatigue of weeks with minimal sleep. "The Voidborn's quantum network is everywhere now. They've integrated with nearly every major power grid, communication system, and infrastructure network on the planet. But that omnipresence is a vulnerability. We can use their own network as a carrier for the Echo," Aditi continued, "like a virus infiltrating a body through its own bloodstream. And if we coordinate simultaneous activations from the remaining resistance cells," Wright added, "we could potentially create a global cascading failure in their systems." Maya studied the map again, mind racing with possibilities. "How many devices would we need?" 7, Wright answered. 1 for each remaining resistance cell. Each device would need to be placed at a critical junction in the Voidborn network, typically their major command ships or central hubs in each region. "And we'd need perfect synchronization," Aditi added. "That's the impossible part," Maya sighed. "With the Voidborn controlling all satellite communications, coordinating a simultaneous global attack would be." "Not impossible," interrupted a new voice. James Okafor, their communications specialist, entered with an old shortwave radio. "We still have the submarine cables. Most are too primitive for the Voidborn to bother with." "Can you establish secure communications with all 7 cells?" Maya asked. "Give me a week," James replied confidently. For the next 6 days, the base hummed with activity. Wright and Aditi completed 7 Void Echo devices, each one carefully calibrated to interact with the others across vast distances. James worked tirelessly on the communication system, using antiquated technology that predated digital encryption, simple enough to evade Voidborn detection. On the 7th day, disaster struck. The base's minimal sensors detected movement in the waters above. Maya rushed to the observation dome, where the murky depths were suddenly illuminated by an eerie purple glow. "Voidborn," she whispered, watching as a massive ship, unlike anything they'd seen before, descended through the crushing depths. Its hull pulsed with the same purple light, unaffected by the enormous pressure. "They found us," Wright said, joining her. "But how?" The answer came as a sickening realization. "The tests," Maya said. "They must have detected our amplification tests." The base shuddered as the Voidborn ship positioned itself directly above them. Unlike their surface counterparts, this vessel was clearly designed for underwater operation, its hull rippling with adaptations that allowed it to move effortlessly through the ocean. "We need to evacuate," Maya ordered, already moving toward the command center. "Prepare the submersibles." "There's no time," Aditi said, pointing to the sensor readouts. "They're deploying something, some kind of probes." On the external cameras, they watched as dozens of small objects detached from the Voidborn ship, each one trailing filaments of pulsing energy as they descended toward the base. "They're going to breach the hull," James warned. "Standard procedure. They'll integrate with our systems before we can destroy the research." Maya made a split-second decision. Change of plans. "Right, Aditi. Prepare the primary void echo for immediate activation. James, send emergency transmissions to all resistance cells. Tell them to deploy their devices now. But we haven't confirmed they're all in position. James protested. It doesn't matter. If we wait, we lose everything. As the team scrambled to implement her orders, Maya returned to the observation dome, watching the approaching probes. They moved with unnatural precision, surrounding the base's access points. Wright and Aditi rushed into the command center with the primary void echo device, now modified to occupy a portable crate. "It's ready," Wright announced, "but without synchronization from the other cells, the effect will be localized. We might disable this ship, but not their global network." "It's better than nothing," Maya said. "James." The communications specialist looked up from his equipment, his expression grim. 3 cells confirmed receipt of the order. The others, I don't know if they got the message. A metallic screech echoed through the base as the first Voidborn probe made contact with the outer hull. The sound of drilling followed, then the hiss of pressurized water finding its way inside. "They're through the first layer," Aditi reported, checking the structural integrity displays. "Everyone into the central chamber," Maya ordered. "We make our stand there." The central chamber was the most fortified section of the base, originally designed to withstand extreme geological events. The team sealed themselves inside, bringing the void echo and essential communications equipment. "How long until they break through?" Maya asked. "Minutes," Wright answered. The outer hull was designed to keep water out, not Voidborn technology. The base continued to groan as more probes attached themselves to the structure. On the emergency monitors, they watched as the first breach expanded, not water pouring in, but something else, a viscous, metallic substance that flowed with apparent intelligence. "They're not just breaking in," Aditi whispered. "They're transforming the base." Maya turned to Wright. "Activate the echo. Now." Wright hesitated. "Commander, without global synchronization, this won't end the war. It might not even." "That's an order, Doctor," Maya cut him off. "Whatever happens next, we don't let them have this technology." Wright nodded and began the activation sequence. The void echo hummed to life, its blue glow intensifying as it reached full power. "Ready," he announced. "Wait," James called out suddenly, his face illuminated by his communications equipment. "I'm getting signals. Stockholm, Rio, Johannesburg. They're all confirming. They've all deployed their devices." Maya felt a surge of hope. "That's 4, including us. Not enough for global coverage, but—" "Wait," James interrupted again, his eyes wide. "Cairo, Delhi, Auckland. They're all reporting in. All 7 cells are in position." The chamber fell silent for a moment, the only sound the increasing whine of the void echo and the ominous grinding of the Voidborn probes penetrating deeper into the base. "Synchronize countdown," Maya ordered. "Let's end this." James coordinated the timing across the global resistance network, all cells standing by. Countdown from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Activate. Wright pressed the final sequence. The void echo's blue glow became blinding, the device vibrating with power as it sent its disruptive signal into the Voidborn's quantum network. At first, nothing seemed to happen. The probes continued their relentless advance, now only meters from the central chamber's door. Then the monitors flickered. The Voidborn ship above them shuddered, its perfect symmetry suddenly corrupted. The probes faltered, their movements becoming erratic. "It's working," Aditi breathed. "The local network is destabilizing." The base's emergency systems registered sudden changes in the ocean above them. The Voidborn ship was breaking apart, its components separating as if forgetting they were ever meant to be one entity. Then, remarkably, the communication system came alive with reports from around the world. In Tokyo, Voidborn control towers were collapsing. In London, their ships were falling from the sky. In New York, The massive quantum network hub that had dominated the former financial district was dissolving into inert matter. Global cascade achieved, James reported, his voice thick with emotion. The void echo is propagating through their entire network. On the screens, they watched as the voidborn probes simply stopped. The metallic substance that had been penetrating the base became inert, hardening into useless chunks of exotic metal. "We did it," Wright said, disbelief evident in his voice. The theory worked perfectly. Their entire networked consciousness, disrupted simultaneously across the planet. "Are they dead?" Maya asked. "Not dead," Wright corrected. "Just disconnected. Individual units without the hive mind are essentially dormant." Hours later, as the base's systems were restored and communications with the surface re-established, the full scope of their victory became clear. The voidborn invasion had been halted. Their ships lay dormant in orbit, and on the planet's surface, their technology rendered useless by the synchronized void echo. Maya stood once more in the observation dome, watching as submersibles from nearby human outposts approached to rescue them. The crushing depths no longer seemed so oppressive. "What happens now?" Aditi asked, joining her. "Now," Maya said, "we rebuild. We study their technology while it's dormant. We prepare." "Prepare for what?" Wright asked, entering with a tablet displaying reports from around the world. "The voidborn are neutralized." "For now," Maya replied. "But somewhere out there is the civilization that created them, and they'll wonder why their invasion force went silent." Outside, the ocean was dark once more, the purple glow of the voidborn ship extinguished. But in its place was something humanity had almost lost, a future. "Let them come," Maya said softly. "Next time, we'll be ready."